So since we're still doing lesson 6.4, lowest common denominator, you always want to find the greatest power of any factor present. And these examples use the numbers. When you get to 17 and 19, there's some variables there. Odds 31 through 39. So make sure you're on page 262 with me. 31, lowest common denominator for each group. This is the same thing like what we just did for number 19 in the oral. 31 is 7 over m plus 2. Can m plus 2 be factored any further? No, you cannot. This is a complete item. There's nothing you can divide out of both pieces. The other one is m minus 1. Now I'm going to factor this because I can see it is a difference of squares. If you can't, you'll just have to factor it. But you can look at number 31 and see that the second fraction, m minus 1 over m squared minus 4, factors this way. Okay, this cannot be reduced any further. The m plus 2 doesn't have anything you could pull out of it. The m minus 2 doesn't have anything you could pull out of it. So, the factors that occur, m plus 2 occurs. And it only occurs one time in both, so that is going to be listed one time in the lowest common denominator. M minus 2 is another factor that occurs. It only occurs once, m minus 2. And there's your answer. You do not have to write this as m squared minus 4. You can leave it just like that. Okay, it's easier to work with that way. Here's number 33 for you. 1 over 2xy and 3 over xx. Okay, just for silliness, I'm writing it that way. Numerically, the only number factor that occurs other than 1 is a 2, and it only appears once. The x's, here it appears once, here it appears twice. The 2 times is larger than the 1 time. So, x squared. And finally, y. Y only appears once. Therefore, your answer is 2x squared y. 2x squared y. Now, they want you to take that greatest common factor and use it to rewrite these. Okay? You are going to rewrite these as if you were adding them. Okay? Think of this. How do you add? You have to have the same denominator. So, if I start with it like this, and here's the other one, and I know I am converting them to this new denominator. In order to convert any fraction from one denominator to another, you have to multiply both pieces by something. This one here, 2 times 1 is 2. I don't need to do anything. X times what will give me x squared? X. Y times what is y? 1. So I don't need to do anything. So both pieces get multiplied by x. 2xy times x gave us what we needed as our lowest common denominator. 1 times x is that. There's the new version of the first fraction. Okay? There's the new version of the first fraction. The second fraction, think of this as having a 1. 1 times what number will give you 2? Okay? We're going to multiply by 2. Multiply by 2. Just like you're doing a numeric fraction. When you rename a fraction, you multiply it by something that equals 1. X divided by X ends up equaling 1. So it's the same. X squared times what will equal X squared? 1. We don't need to do anything there. 1, there's no Y's here. This times what will give you Y? Y. Okay? Now that you have what you are multiplying it by, you simply perform the multiplication in the numerator. So these are your new fractions. And now if you wanted to add them together, you could, assuming they asked you to do that. But until you create the same denominator, you couldn't do that addition or subtraction for that matter. Okay? Following the steps. Following the steps. 37, same exact thing. And I'm breaking it up into finding the denominator and then changing it. I don't really care how you get there as long as you get there. So for number 37, 5 over x minus 3 and 7 over 4x minus 3. Notice I just factored that real quick. I don't have to make this 2 times 2 at this stage because there's nothing over here that would make me have to worry about the fact that this is 2 times 2. If you want to list it prime, that's fine. So, lowest common denominator would be the largest power of anything shared. I'm going to put a 1 in front of this just for fun. 1 appears once. Do I really need to list it? No. X minus 3, it only appears a maximum time of once. And 4 appears once. Therefore, that's going to be your new denominator. Rewriting it again, changing each one. This has to become, and I'm leaving it factored just so that I can see what I need to multiply into the problem. To convert x minus 3 to 4 times x minus 3, what must I multiply both terms by? Anybody? Bravo. That gives me a 20.
Could I have all graduating seniors to the workroom, please? Graduating seniors line up outside the workroom. Thank you.
Nothing needs to change here. I'm only writing the one for your mind. You don't need to write it. The denominator is already the lowest common denominator. Those are your new fractions written with the new lowest common denominator. Yes, sir?
The denominator be like 4x minus 12.
Absolutely. So if I was saying, could I do this? Absolutely. But the back of the book answer is always going to show it factored because recognizing what you need to multiply in is easier in factored form. So if you have it here, you don't need to go to this extra step. But if that's how you naturally do it, it's totally fine. Okay? I'll be able to figure that out, no problem. I will warn you, though, in college entrance exams, I know that's a little ways out, like your compass test to get into KCC, if it gives you multiple choice, it would give you this. It would not give you that. So don't think you're wrong if you have this and a multiple choice test gives you that. Even your achievement testing in a couple weeks would have it like this. Okay? At least all the ones I've seen. 39. Last one. 6x minus 3 and 4x minus 3 squared. I only broke it apart so that I would visually, and when I have a factor, put a parenthesis around it. That way you don't accidentally reduce the x out of it or the 3 out of it. You have to reduce this entire piece when you're cross-canceling previous lessons. So whenever I see a chunk like this, I put a parenthesis around it. That reminds me that it is a single unit. Okay. Greatest common factor? x minus 3 appears once, it appears twice, therefore the greatest common factor is going to be x minus 3 squared. So, this is the original, and again, you do not have to do it the way I'm showing you as far as using all this paper. And I am converting both of these to fractions that have x minus 3 squared. Do I have to do anything to the bottom fraction? Nope. It stays the same. I'm only inserting that one for visual. Okay? This one, however, in order to make x minus 3 into x minus 3 times x minus 3, what must I multiply both pieces by? Bravo. Okay, now that I have recognized what I need to multiply in, my new denominator for the second fraction is that. And there's your answer there. Did that help you with all your questions that you had? Anybody else on this? Okay, I'm going to let you guys get started.